Canada's pension puzzle. Can you afford to retire? For millions of us, that's not just a puzzle, it's everything. It's the big, scary question looming over us. After working for, 30, 40, 50 years, can you actually afford to stop?
Yeah, that hits home, doesn't it? That quote just nails the absolute core fear so many people have. It's this nightmare scenario, right? You run this marathon your whole life, you finally see the finish line, and you realize it's actually the edge of a cliff. So, okay, let's get real and look at the hard numbers.
Okay, so here's the number. $1,640 a month. For a whole lot of Canadians, this is retirement. We're talking about what you'd get on average if you're between 65 and 74 once you combine your CPP and old age security. Think of it as the starting point, the baseline. So, how far does that actually get you?
Well, here's another number, $2,500 a month. That's what it costs just to rent an average one-bedroom apartment in Toronto. Let that sink in. Before you've bought a single carton of milk, paid a hydro bill, or filled a prescription, your entire pension is already gone. And you're still almost $1,000 in the hole, just on rent.
And this chart, wow, it just lays it all out, doesn't it? Look at that little bar on the left. That's your income. Now look at those towers next to it. That's just the rent in Toronto and Vancouver. I mean, the math it doesn't work. It's impossible. It's a really stark, unavoidable truth. But what if there's another way to do the math? What if the equation could work, just not there?
So after a chart like that, it's easy to feel pretty hopeless, right? But believe it or not, there are actually still some places left in this country, little pockets where that pension income, that $1,640 a month, is enough. Not just enough to scrape by, but maybe even enough to own your own home and live without that constant knot of financial stress in your stomach. But, and this is a big but, there's always a catch.
Okay, let's just get this out of the way right now. We need to be super clear. We are not talking about finding some secret, cheap paradise that has all the cool stuff a big city has. That's not what this is. This is about a trade, a really fundamental one. You're trading big city convenience for financial survival. So if your retirement dream involves a buzzing art scene and a new restaurant every night, this probably isn't for you. But if what you're really craving is just peace of mind, then you're going to want to see this. So our first stop is a place with a really fascinating story. It's called Elliott Lake, Ontario. It used to be known as the uranium capital of the world. But when the mines closed down, the town was facing, total collapse. It could have just become another ghost town. But instead, they did something radical. They made a massive pivot and decided to reinvent themselves as Canada's most affordable, purpose-built town for retirees. Okay, just look at these numbers for a second. The one that jumps out is the median home price, $125,000. Seriously, we're talking about places where you can buy a condo for less than a used car. Now, yes, it's remote and the winters are no joke. We'll get to that. But financially, it's almost hard to believe. And that's the key phrase here, purpose-built. This didn't happen by accident. When the town was on the brink, they made a very strategic choice. They went out and actively courted retirees. They recruited doctors, they built housing specifically for seniors, and tweaked their hospital to serve an older population. It was a total conscious reinvention. Oh, and if you're an outdoorsy person, there are over 300 lakes in the area. The access to nature is just incredible.
Okay, but let's talk about the trade-offs, because they are real. It's a 6-hour drive from Toronto. That means seeing family isn't a quick trip. It's a whole thing. The food scene is basic. There's no real arts or culture to speak of, and the winter, you have to be ready for a real, true Northern Ontario winter. I'm talking snow on the ground from October, sometimes into May, and temperatures that can easily hit -30.
So, what does this actually look like on a monthly budget? Let's say you own your home outright, which is totally possible there. Suddenly, the math starts to work. Check this out. Property tax, maybe $167 a month. Utilities, around $250. You add in groceries, a bit for the car, and your main bills are just over $1,000. So on that $1,640 pension, that leaves you with $600. $600 for everything else. Now, it's not like you're rich, but it's manageable. It actually works.
Okay, for our next spot, we're going to head west, out to Manitoba, Portage-la Prairie. Now this place offers a totally different kind of deal. It's not as isolated as Elliott Lake. This is more for someone who wants that crazy affordability, but still needs to be connected to a major city.
And that's the key right there, proximity. It's only an hour's drive from Winnipeg. That is a total game changer. It means you can get to medical specialists, you can go to big stores, you can get to an international airport, all without paying the big city price to live. The trade-off, though? Well, that prairie climate is not playing around.
So yeah, the upside is pretty clear. You're not isolated, you can buy a 3-bedroom bungalow for under 200 grand and still be close enough to drive into a big city for a concert or a doctor's appointment. And another bonus? Manitoba has some of the cheapest utility rates in Canada because of all their hydropower. That makes a huge difference when you're on a fixed income.
But that climate, man, it is a real test. We're talking winters that regularly dip down to -30 and then summers that rocket up past +35. And the landscape? Let's just say it's flat. Like really, really flat. So if you're someone who needs mountains or oceans to feel alive, this is probably not your spot. You really have to be built for the prairies.
All right, for our last example, let's head all the way over to the East Coast, Amherst, Nova Scotia. Now this place is a different kind of choice altogether. It's definitely more expensive than the other two we've looked at, but what you're buying here isn't just affordability, it's a whole lifestyle. You're buying historic character and that famous maritime charm.
Whoa, okay, so right away that home price jumps out at you, right? $280,000. That's more than double what we saw in Elliott Lake. So this is really pushing the limits of what a pension-only budget can handle. You'd probably need to be coming in with some savings or equity from selling a house somewhere else. The payoff? You get that beautiful historic town feel, and you're right near the ocean.
So what are you getting for that extra money? Well, the town itself is gorgeous. It's full of beautiful, old Victorian architecture. You're only about 15 minutes away from the Bay of Fundy. The winters are, well, they're still winter, but they're not that brutal, deep freeze you get on the prairies. It's more gray and damp. And of course, you get that maritime community culture, which is famously friendly and tight-knit. But let's be real about the money side. It's tighter here. That higher house price means trying to carry a mortgage on just a pension is going to be tough. Your heating costs are probably going to be higher too, since a lot of places still use oil. And if you need to see a serious medical specialist, you're looking at a 2-hour drive to either Halifax or Moncton. So yeah, it's a classic trade-off. Looks versus pure affordability.
Okay, so we've looked at the numbers, we've looked at a few towns, we've weighed the pros and cons, but what's the real point of all this? Because it's about something way deeper than just making the numbers on a spreadsheet work.
See, the ultimate goal here, it isn't just about finding a cheap house. It's about being able to buy something that, for way too many Canadians, has become an almost impossible luxury in retirement.
And here it is. This is the real payoff. This is the one thing you hear over and over from retirees who've actually made this kind of move. The freedom from financial anxiety. Just think about that. The ability to actually sleep through the night without worrying about a rent hike or some unexpected bill wiping you out. That peace of mind, that's what you're really buying. And honestly, that's priceless.
So really, it all boils down to this pretty stark choice, doesn't it? On one side, you've got all the perks of the big city. The restaurants, the culture, everything at your fingertips. And on the other side, you've got financial security, maybe even owning your own home, and just less stress. Now, one isn't automatically better than the other, but in the economy we're living in right now, one of those choices has become almost impossible for a lot of people.
And that brings us right back to a really personal question for you to think about. It's not just about where can I afford to live, it's about what kind of life do I want to live. Is giving up that great sushi place down the street worth it if it means you gain genuine peace of mind? For a growing number of Canadians, the answer to that question is a definite yes.